Welcome to the Chelsea Fans Channel. I have some excellent news for you. That news is this is the last time you will ever see me with a Movember. It's gone. The second that this is over, it's history. So I'm very pleased about that. In the spirit of good news, I have some more. My friend Dan Levine's come to join us, and I'm very, very pleased about that because there's been some very interesting developments regarding the Stamford Bridge new stadium. Dan, thanks for coming in. What's the latest?
It's a really interesting day today because we've got the publication of the planning application for the new Stamford Bridge. This is the 60,000 capacity stadium that is going to essentially replace what we have currently at Stamford Bridge.
Right. So this is a massive day because this application has to be passed. Are we confident that it will be?
Well, this is down to democracy at the end of the day. The document itself is enormous. It's 210 separate documents, actually, which are going to have to be decided on by the local authority, Hammersmith and Fulham Council. They'll go through the planning laws, they'll go through objections, and then they will decide whether or not it should sink or swim. But the indications are very good. It's highly likely that the local authority will be in favour of it because of the work that's already been done. It's just down to what objections there are.
Can we guess? Do we have any idea what objections there could be? Because I think Chelsea have really played the game here, haven't they? Chelsea have sought counsel from the local residents. They've taken into people's considerations. As a football club, we've really done our best. Are there going to be any objections here?
No, you're absolutely right, and this has been a great big, people who work in these things call it stakeholder management exercise, which is a horrible word, but this is about talking to people, getting a version of things that they are happy going forward with getting a plan that will make everyone in the area and all of the interested parties satisfied, and they seem to be very, very confident that's what they've got. Certainly there's been a dialogue with the council themselves to get all those little tick boxes, all the things that they require, all the things that the planning authorities want and stuff like that, right in place before this actually reaches this stage. So people should be really confident, I think.
So a good day for Chelsea Football Club?
Well, it's certainly a good day for the plans for a new 50% larger Stamford Bridge, something for the next generation of fans.
Great. This is something that is close to my heart, and I'm sure actually close to a lot of people who are watching. And people are a bit worried about this. The CPO. The CPO is something that is a wonderful thing in my eyes. It's something that has been part of our history, and it's something that has preserved our attachment to Stamford Bridge. With a new stadium, does the CPO reign supreme?
This is where it gets complicated, because what we're looking at the moment is a document that is just about planning. It's just about getting things passed under planning law and getting a stadium up. And the document itself, I'll just give you an outline of, before I go on to that, what it involves. We've got 210 documents. There's a waste management plan in there, a foul water strategy, 4 different arboricultural statements, 4 statements about trees in this thing, okay. 7 transport assessments, and over 100 drawings. So it's a massive thing. That's what the local authority will have to look at.
Right, so part of the new stadium will be trees. It's going to be a village.
Absolutely.
It's like centre parks.
This is something that looks at the whole of that part of Fulham Road. There's people are talking about street furniture, which is just a weird planning expression which refers to things like street lights and dustbins and trees. This is all part of it, and this is all of the things that Chelsea have done to try and make sure that it sails through with the local people.
Right. So this is very impressive. It is very impressive that Chelsea have taken this amount of care and consideration when coming up with a new stadium. Moving on again, though,
yeah.
my thing that was, as a fan, of course, I'm fully supportive of this. My priority was remaining at Stamford Bridge. As a CPO, we made that happen. Does the CPO still exist in a new stadium?
This is, like I say, where it gets complicated. Chelsea pitch owners own a number of things around the club. One of them is the freehold of Stamford Bridge, and that is, if you ever bought a flat, you know that you own a lease of your property, and that the bit underneath it is owned by the person who owns the property. And that's exactly the same as Stamford Bridge. Chelsea pitch owners own the freehold of the land. Now, there's another technicality in there that says that if Chelsea wants to play away from Stamford Bridge, its home games, then they need the permission of Chelsea pitch owners. Otherwise, the name Chelsea Football Club is owned by the pitch owners.
Okay.
So
we have a lot of power here.
Yes. So without the say-so of Chelsea pitch owners, Chelsea could not play for 4 years at Wembley, for example,
okay,
under the name Chelsea Football Club. So that's one thing, and that's the first thing that's likely to come up. Roman Abramovich is going to have to come to Chelsea pitch owners if he wants them to play away for 4 years and say, can we do that?
I'm very anti-Wembley.
Okay.
Can I ask you as a fan rather than a journalist? Because obviously Dan's, as I'm sure a lot of you know him, at Dan Levine on Twitter, huge Chelsea presence and very influential and very knowledgeable on Chelsea as a journalist. But equally, I was on a train with Dan to Stoke. So you are a fan the way that we all are. How do you feel about going to Wembley for that amount of time?
The difficulty with Wembley is, I know it will be very, very difficult for a lot of people because we've got a big following in places like in Surrey and down the A3 corridor. We've got people from all over the UK. It will be difficult for as many people as it is easier for others. A lot of people don't like Wembley because it's soulless. Yes, that's the word that keeps on coming up. And also people don't like it because it takes us away from our favourite local pubs, our favourite restaurants.
Any pubs, in fact.
Well, that's also true. It's very, very, very good curry houses up there.
Yeah, true.
But the problem is, where else do you go?
Twickenham.
Twickenham is not going to happen, unfortunately, because Twickenham has got very, very strong local residential opposition to events. Cliff Richard wanted to play gigs there, and even they were struck out.
Thank God.
So the chances of Chelsea getting 30, 40 games a season there are next to zero.
I can think of a couple of other suggestions, but nothing works perfectly. Do you feel like Wembley is the alternative?
I think it's a rock hard place sort of thing. And what I personally, and what I've heard from a lot of other people, is that if you look at the bigger prize, and that is a bigger Stamford Bridge, sometimes you've got to go through something that's going to be unpleasant on the way there. And it's going to have a capacity of 50,000 for Chelsea, should it be, and it hasn't been officially named as the place that Chelsea are going, but there's an increase already. And that's where Chelsea want to go. They want to ramp up the number of people that come into games. They want to get more money in. That's what it's down to. But they want to spread the matchday experience around more people. So Wembley looks to be the place.
Okay, so Abramovich will come to the CPO, ask for permission to go to Wembley. Let's say that is granted. Does that mean that we retain a CPO influence at a brand new Stamford Bridge?
Well, that's the second question that the CPO will have to consider. Now, to knock down Stamford Bridge and to build it up from the start, Roman Abramovich doesn't need the freehold of the property.
Right.
You can bulldoze, if you own a flat or a block of flats, you can bulldoze it and start it again. It doesn't matter. But he wants it. I know that, most people know that, and he might want it for any number of reasons. If you want to finance a big development, you might not necessarily use your own cash to do it. You might go to the markets, you might want to raise money, and if you're going to do that, you need to secure it against something. You need to basically mortgage what you're doing, and in order to do that, to have the value in what you're doing, the freehold would be very, very valuable.
Okay, so he's going to want it as a support base. We're not going to want to give that up.
Well, and this is where the big question is going to come. If Roman Abramovich, his project team, the club, whoever it might be, comes to Chelsea and says, we want to buy the freehold from Chelsea pitch owners, it will come down to a vote of those pitch owners. It will go to a meeting, and there will need to be a 75% agreement for it to happen. Now that raises the question, what does Roman and his team have to present to get that agreement? Last time he tried, he failed. But of course, last time most would agree, and certainly some people I've spoken to who were involved in it would agree, that it was a very poorly put together bid. It didn't offer anything concrete. There was talk of maybe playing away from the area in a few years' time, and people really just, they weren't happy with it.
I don't like the idea because I think a chairman, and as brilliant as a chairman, I love Mr. Abramovich. I think he's a fantastic chairman and the best that we've ever had. However, he is a mere custodian of this football club. We own the football club. He is looking after it and steering it in a direction, but the football club belongs to me, you, my dad, my grandkids. That we own the football club. And
this is one of the things I keep on hearing when I go to places like the Supporters Trust meetings, when people talk about this and they say things like, well, we trust Roman. Roman has delivered us fantastic stuff, but how do we know what's coming next? Who do we know? Do we trust the person after Roman and the person after Roman? And you can look at other clubs, Leeds United, Portsmouth, where people have done, gone into agreements on the basis that they trust the person they're dealing with, but then somebody else has come along and just blown it out of the water, that trust.
So, I'm getting the vibe that you think that we need to keep hold of our CPO.
Well, CPO is a unique thing. No other club has anything like this. Chelsea fans own the very pitch that the players play on, and have a massive, massive say in the future of the club. Certainly the Supporters Trust, which is statutory consultee on these matters, seems to be erring towards wanting to keep some sort of fan involvement in the new stadium. And I think a lot of people watching the game, a lot of people who feel passionate about it, would be very happy to see that.
Yeah, I would. So, what we're effectively asking Mr. Abramovich to do, though, is to build us a new stadium, but not own it in its outright form, which is a huge thing to expect him to do. And do we feel like he will do that if he doesn't have ownership of the CPO?
Well, that's his call at the end of the day, isn't it? He's a businessman, certainly, if you look at the amount of work that's gone into this so far, it is quite incredible. The work I've seen that's gone into the plans and the scoping and the assessments and stuff like that. Like I said, 210 documents just for the planning application. It's one of the biggest planning applications Hammersmith and Fulham Council have ever dealt with. And the work they've done over the last couple of years has been incredible. They've spoken to everyone who has any interest in it. Now, that's an awful lot of work for someone to suddenly say, oh, I don't fancy it, and walk away, isn't it, really? An awful lot of investment in time and money.
God, it's so exciting. I'm really am looking forward to this now. Like, I'm just going to be so interested to see how it's going to go. I'm optimistic. Do we feel like it's going to go the way we want it to?
I think there's every reason to be optimistic. It's not a tick box exercise for the council. It will be done properly according to the rules. People will object. But if you've got something on the table that the council seems satisfied adheres to planning laws, then there's every chance it will go through. Now, it might go to appeal after that, and there might be other issues. There's all sorts of things that can come up. This is a big development, and there are a lot of hurdles. But planning probably won't be one of the biggest ones, to be honest.
Okay, so fingers crossed it's all pointing in the right direction. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, comment below, let us know what you think, and if you've enjoyed this video, why not click the subscribe button. Dan, thank you so much for coming in, and make sure that you come and talk to us when there's the next development.
Love to, thank you.
On your Blues.